Peace be with you, everyone. Welcome to my channel. My name is Trevor. Really grateful to have you here. And in today's video, I'm going to be doing a top 10 list for the most masculine fragrances in my collection. So by masculine, generally, I'm going to be meaning woody, aromatic, earthy, and animalic. I think are kind of the major fragrance genres that are going to be presented here in this list. So without further ado, I do have one honorable mention. So the honorable mention here is going to be Aramis Havana. Unfortunately, this was discontinued, which is why I'm making it an honorable mention. It's increasingly more difficult to find, but for me, this is definitely a little bit more old school, definitely super masculine. Beautiful green tobacco fragrance. A lot of oak moss, a lot of tobacco, super aromatic, a little bit, or quite a bit animalic, but one of my favorites, and it's really nice that it's definitely got a heavy sweet tobacco, so it's inclining more towards like a fall fragrance, but I think this is something you could wear year round. Really unfortunate that they discontinued it. It'd be really nice to see a modern interpretation of this though. So that's the honorable mention, Aramis Havana. Okay, so number 10 on this list is going to be from the house of Bentley, and that's Bentley Black Edition. So you could go with a lot of the Bentley fragrances. They've got quite a bit of a masculine scent profile. Bentley for Men Intense, is hyper masculine. You could go with Bentley for Men Absolute, another good masculine fragrance. I want to go with this one though because I think it's the most versatile from the line. It's kind of like a blue fragrance, but it's got an added earthy kind of soil-like aspect to it that kind of makes it a little bit more mature than your average Dylan Blue or Bleu de Chanel fragrances that I think appeal a little bit more to the youthful crowd. This one I think is a nice grown-up, more mature style blue fragrance. So that's number 10 spot, Bentley for Men Black Edition. Number 9 spot is a little bit of a hidden gem, and it's probably the most old school fragrance on this list other than Havana, but I feel like it teeters that line of old school and modern really well. It smells exactly like a bar of Irish Spring soap, and you can't really get this on normal discounters, which is why it's a little bit of a hidden gem, but you can get it directly from the distributor for I think $40 exactly, and then if you can find coupon codes you can kind of bring that price down to mitigate the shipping and taxes. But the fragrance I'm speaking about here is Patrick from, I think the house is like Fragrances of Ireland. This I have seen Ashton at Gensens and Max 40 mention. I think Max 40 was wearing this as his St. Patty's Day fragrance of the day for a number of years. Like I said, just smells exactly like a bar of Irish Spring soap, but in the most kind of masculine cologne style fashion. Like I said, it does have a little bit of an old schoolness from the amount of greenness that's going on in here and like heavy oak moss, but it teeters that line of modern and old school very well. Number 9 spot, Patrick from the house of Fragrances of Ireland. Okay, number 8 spot. I've mentioned this one on the channel quite a bit. It is a hidden gem, and it's available. I think I've seen it at like Nordstrom Rack, but they're trying to charge like $60 for it there. Currently, you can get this at Fragrance X, and then I think you could get it for like $30 at Saks Off 5th. But that is Robert Talbot for Men. So this fragrance, I could have put Terre d'Hermès in this list because this has the Terre d'Hermès DNA. However, I feel like this one is slightly more masculine than Terre d'Hermès because the Terre d'Hermès kind of has a little bit of like this powderiness going on from the heavy ISO-E Super in there. Whereas this one is a little bit more woody and a little bit more bright and fresh on the citrus front. Woody citrus fragrance. You can get this for under $20 at Fragrance X right now. Robert Talbot for Men. Number 7 spot. So this is, I could have put a number of fragrances from Lalique in this list as well because like Bentley, they've got a really nice selection of masculine profile scents, whether that be, woody, earthy, aromatic, animalic, really nice selection. But the one I decided to go for is Lalique Pour Homme Équus, the horse's head version. Beautiful, beautiful woody fragrance. There's like a ton of different types of woods in here. I think sequoia is the most unique wood note in here, but just incredibly woody. One of my favorites for springtime. It definitely just smells like the way that the woods do when they're coming back to life as the dampness in the water from the rains are starting to seep back into it, and the beginning of the greenery to grow out of the trees is starting to bud out onto the branches. Incredible fragrance, one of my favorites. The woodiness in here makes it hyper masculine for me, and I think this is a great pickup. You can find it for definitely under $40. Check this one out, Lalique Earthy. And then moving on, so this one, I had to include a leather fragrance in this list. I was thinking about doing Tom Ford's ombre leather, but I think this one is a little bit more masculine, so you've got to be a little bit more daring, a little bit more confident and secure in yourself to pull this one off. A lot more dry, a lot more kind of woody aspects going on in this one than the Tom Ford, and that is Gucci Guilty Absolute. Beautiful Alberto Moria's creation. This smells a lot like, or at least I hear, because I haven't smelled the Killian, but it smells, I hear, like a better version of Killian's Dark Lord, which was also perfumed by Alberto Moria's. This is definitely one of my favorites in my collection. I do love leather fragrances, and this one is just so like it's definitely not as mass appealing as ombre leather, but I just love this personally, and I wear this for myself because it's just got such a nice dry animalic quality to it. Probably, like I said, you know, it's not that mass appealing, but as a frag head, this one just hits the spot for me, and is probably the most masculine in the list. I put it a little bit further down in the middle of the list though, just because it's going to be harder to pull off, but I think this has been discontinued, but you can still find the 90 mLs of this for under $100, so I definitely recommend picking one of these up, or at least sampling it, because it is a little bit challenging before the stock dries up on this one. So that's number 5 spot, Gucci Guilty Absolute. Or that was number 6 spot. Number 5 spot is a recent addition to my collection, and the reason that I got inspired to make this list, and that is Tom Ford's Grey Vetiver. So this is an incredible, like, the vibe this gives me is kind of like a really nice ran hotel when you go to the public pool area and there's like a little bit of chlorine floating around in the air, and it just feels like you're in a room or a climate controlled area with that chlorine going on in the air, and you're on vacation. I think this would be incredible in the rain on like a rainy day. I think the gray aspect of it is a good name for this one. It's got a slight soapy undertone to it, but it's just got this really beautiful kind of chlorine style citrus at the top. Incredibly classy, and then the citrusy soapy vibe is definitely masculine leaning on this one. Definitely a gentleman scent as well. And like I said, the reason it gave me the inspiration to do this list. Perfect signature scent for a grown man, a gentleman style, easy wear, office safe, daily driver style fragrance. If I had to pick a citrusy style fragrance to fill that gap for me, you know, this one would definitely be in the running. I think Bleu de Chanel is like right up there, but this one is a little bit more mature, a little bit more masculine than the Bleu de Chanel. So that's number 5, Tom Ford's Grey Vetiver. Number 4 spot. So I've got 2 Barbershop style fragrances in this list. I feel like Barbershop is a definitively masculine sort of fragrance archetype. You know, you generally have like a heavy lavender, which has traditionally been a masculine fragrance note, or something they use to make a fragrance more masculine leaning. So out of the 2 Barbershop style fragrances, this one is a little bit more cold, a little bit more sharp, a little bit more metallic, and we're going with Platinum Egoiste by Chanel. Other than the fingerprint magnet cap here, this fragrance is incredible. It definitely just captures that shaving cream style scent profile, while also adding a little bit of that metallic kind of masculine edge. Incredible, like, you know, there's some geranium in here that also gives it, like, helps add to that like aromatic shaving cream vibe. I feel like a lot of the times geranium is one of the prominent players in achieving that fragrant or that shaving cream scent profile. But yeah, this is perfect office fragrance. It feels incredibly classy. I wore this out on a date with my wife the other night. Got a pretty decent dent in it as far as like my Chanel fragrances, which I try to kind of conserve on. But a masterpiece for sure. I think every man should have this fragrance in their collection. Out of all 10 of these, I think this is probably the number one must own out of all of them, especially because you can generally find this for right around $100. So yeah, Platinum Egoiste by Chanel is the number 4 and the number 1 most must-have in the list. Okay, the number 3 spot is going to none other than Dior Sauvage Elixir. This is probably the most mass appealing one in this list. Incredible like longevity projection. It harkens back to like those old school style green fougere scent profiles. People compare this to Drakkar Noir, but it's definitely been modernized. It's got a little bit of more sweetness, which is kind of appealing to the modern man and the modern woman and attracting her. The licorice note in here helps add to that and darken it up, but also there's like the lavender in here is very fresh. And the secret to getting women's attention generally with fragrances is combining sweet and fresh. And this one is light, dark, sweet, fresh, just covers all your bases. Even though it's like incredibly dense and heavy and spicy, I think you could pull this off year-round, especially in climate-controlled environments. Definitely, like I said, the most mass appealing one in this list, but still hyper masculine, harkens back to those 80s powerhouses while maintaining a modern, sweet sort of scent profile. I don't think I need to comment much more on this one. It's kind of one of the more hyped fragrances in the market today, so that's Dior Sauvage Elixir. Okay, down to the last 2. This is the second Barbershop fragrance in the list, and a little bit more warm, a little bit more sensual than the Egoiste, which is a little bit sharp, hard, metallic. This one's a little bit more gentlemanly, a little bit more classical, I would say. It has like a nice warm steam coming off of it, or at least like a sensation of steam, because it's inspired by a tailor's workshop. And while it still captures that creamy barbershop lavender scent profile, and that is Penhaligon's Sartorial. Another recent addition to my collection, but I've gotten quite a few wears out of this one. I actually visited a buddy of mine who's also into fragrances, and when he smelt this one, he said he came close to crying because it was just so transportive that it put him in a space from his childhood into a barbershop. I think that story in and of itself is enough to want to get your nose on this one. Definitely sample it. This one I feel like is a true masterpiece, and like I said, it captures that barbershop style scent profile, not so much the shaving cream like the Platinum Egoiste, but more of like the Barbasol kind of the blue juice that they've got there at the barbershop, while also there's a nice beeswax note in here, or like an accord that adds like a waxy texture to this. And it definitely feels like transportive to a time before technology took over, maybe like more like steampunky. But yeah, definitely check this one out. It is a masterpiece of a fragrance, Penhaligon's Sartorial. And then the number 1 choice, or the number 1 spot, it just has a sense of regality. It is got quite a price tag on it, so maybe try to get like a decant. Incredibly beautiful woody citrus. It's got a nice sort of powderiness to it from an angelica note, and then a nice sweetness added underneath of all that cedar with a sandalwood, and that's Creed's Royal Oud. Like I said, regality is like one of the terms that comes to mind. It has an incredible, like bright, fresh pink pepper opening with some nice lemon. So you got the citrusy, woody aspect that is classical masculine scent profile. And then just like some nice greenery in here as well. So you've got that green aromaticness that also adds to the masculine, manly sort of presentation. This is a masterpiece of a fragrance. I would wear this as a signature scent if I could afford to do so. But yeah, number 1 spot, Creed's Royal Oud. Let me know in the comment section below what your top picks for masculine fragrances are. Let me know if I missed anything, if I should pick something up, and what your scent of the day is. And I appreciate you sticking with me to the end of this video. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.